Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game from Scratch, and today we're talking about Ultra App Kit. Now if you're a regular to this channel, you probably remember this one. I covered this several months back when it was first released, and if you don't, hey, hit like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest in the world of game development news. So what exactly is an Ultra App Kit, and why are we talking about it today? Well, first off, it is a C++ library for creating GUI-based applications. This one is specifically created to create tools for game development, but really you can use it for any kind of cross-platform application. And the reason why we were talking about it today is because Ultra App Kit 1.1 was just released, and there is one major update versus the 1.0 release, and that is this. Huge limitation of Ultra App Kit when it first shipped is it was Windows only. Now you can use it to create Linux and Mac OS applications as well, and that makes this way more competitor with its peers, and it makes it way more useful. But to really understand Ultra App Kit, you probably do need to understand the competition. So what we've got there, the one that you probably think of the most is ImGUI. This is an immediate mode graphics library. So the way that this works basically is you call code every single frame to draw your user interface. So here you can see if you want to have a menu, every pass through, you recreate your menu. If you want to have a window above it, you draw that window above it. So your code to draw the UI is drawn, and it immediately draws to the screen. It's a different approach to doing things, and if you're interested in learning more about ImGUI, I have done a hands-on video of it as well. It is popular. It's supported by a number of AAA studios out there. A lot of people use ImGUI, and there's nothing wrong with it. Just keep in mind, it takes that immediate mode approach. So you redraw your user interface with every single draw. So the other way to do things is retained mode, and that is if you've used WPF or .NET WinForms, that is the approach they take. Basically what you do in these cases is when your application starts up, you describe your user interface. In the example of WPF, you use something called XAML, which is like XML, and you basically mock up or create a user interface, and then you set a series of basically callbacks that are called when an event occurs. This is a retained mode. Basically, you define your user interface and then you handle it in callback. Now, the difference between WinForms and WPF and Ultra App Kit is in App Kit, you're using 100% C++. There's no markup language in the middle. So we move on. The other big option out there is Qt. Now, Qt is a massive framework designed for making things as cross-platform as possible. It is the user interface kit, for example, that was used to make Maya. It's really quite popular. It's also, the licensing of it keeps changing. I don't really trust the company behind Qt. They keep getting sold and changing and so on and so forth. But Qt is certainly popular. It is the UI framework for some Linux distros out there, and it is another option. It is also massive, so one of those things to be aware of. So now we're coming back to Ultra App Kit. And here we are in the documentation, so you can sort of see how Ultra App Kit works. Again, this is an entirely C++ based library, and we'll look at, say, creating a file browser. So this is the code that you would use to create a typical file browser. So you can see it, the C++ code is pretty straightforward. Creating a window, called create window. In some ways, this really kind of reminds me of OWL or MFC code from back in the day. So you create your interface, and then you respond to events. So basically, when the window close event happens, we shut down, for example. And here is your basic result of this following code. So you see here, we created a tree view off to the one side, a list box. There's nothing in any of that. So now we're going to populate it. So here you see the code for doing it. You've also got functions and functionality for doing, like, reading the file system and so on. We'll look at some of that in a second. So basically you populate in the results based off of a path found, like so. Then we populate a little bit more. So if you select the widget, here's the code you handle it. If you've used a traditional C++ library from like the 90s and aughts, this is sort of the way things worked back then. And if you are a very code-driven person, you're going to like this working this way, especially if you like responding to events. If you like the retained mode approach, basically of, in code, you define all of your UI straight up front, and then you basically create code that handles events as they happen. That is the approach you take. So this is how you would create a file browser. This is the type of code. So there's the entirety of the code to create a file browser that populates from the file system. As you can see, it's pretty minimal and clean and easy to see code. Now, there is a little bit more here than the UI side of things, but let's take a quick look at, so here's the programmer reference. Here's all the various different things it provides. So as you can see here, we've got the ability to add plugins. We've got file system support, asset handling support, GUI support, some math libraries, some memory management libraries, and so on. Many of them are optional for you to use. The key thing you're going to probably want to know about is if you get into the GUI stuff, what kind of widgets do we have here? So you can see here you got things like list box panels, progress bar sliders, tab controls, functionality to get positions and widgets and colors and set shapes and so on. Then you've got various different containers out there. You've got some functionality for timers, interface handling. Another thing that's nice about Ultra App Kit is it does do multi-resolution, pixel perfect, accurate. So if you're working on high DPI displays, whatever, you are fine in that regard. We also have some functionalities for like handling the display and handling creating windows. So that's what it is. It's pretty clean and straightforward in what it does. It is a C++ based immediate mode, lightweight UI or GUI development system. And the big thing here is with this new release, this 1.1 release, it makes it so much more useful to many people because it is now cross-platform. So it's 1.1, cross-platform development, blah, blah, blah. So in addition to Windows, now you can support Mac and Linux. That is a pretty huge development. Builds on Linux use minimal dependencies and work on virtually any distro without any additional libraries to install. Effectively solves the Linux user interface problem forever and provides us a strong foundation on which to build new game development tools that look great and run everywhere. Runs on Mac OS also with the new M1 chips. And then we had a couple of small bug fixes, etc. So if you're interested in picking it up, there's a couple of different ways to buy it. Head on over there right now. So you can do a $1.99 a month subscription. Let's go here to the software. Don't worry, it's not subscription only. You can pay 20 bucks and get a Steam key. Or you can do, again, subscription there, $5.99 for 3 months. That is some weird pricing, to be honest. So mostly, if you're the type of person that wants to just buy it and own it, there's the one you want to go with. It's the Ultra App Kit Steam key. It's a one and done. And then, obviously, if you bought 1.0, you get the 1.1 update here. Yeah, so that's it. And for some reason, if you want to, I guess if you wanted to like kind of try it yourself, you could go get it for $6 for 3 months if you want to check it out. By the way, if you use my link down below, I get a small commission off of any sales made, so I would appreciate that, and that's awesome. But yeah, that is Ultra App Kit, a GUI-based application, a big thing that they've done with this 1.1 release is making it cross-platform. So if you're looking for an incredibly lightweight C++ UI for building immediate mode applications, Ultra App Kit is kind of the best choice out there. You know, if you want to get much heavier, you can use Qt, of course, and it's battle tested. It's got some weird licensing, but it is definitely production and battle tested. But it is also gigantic, and getting up and running with it could be a bit of a challenge, and you're locked into all of the Qt ways of doing things. Or, of course, if you like the idea of immediate mode, there's Dear ImGUI, completely free, open source, and used by a number of AAA studios. It's a great option, but not everyone is going to like immediate mode. A lot of people, especially someone like myself who's old and was trained on retained mode, I actually appreciate something like Ultra App Kit over immediate mode. It's just kind of the way my brain thinks. And there's valid arguments either way. It's not to say that one is better than the other. It's just two very different approaches. But if you're looking for a lightweight C++ based DPI aware cross-platform, again, that is the new thing, UI toolkit, Ultra App Kit is definitely worth checking out. All right, that's it. Talk to you all later. Goodbye.